Some wars are fought with soldiers and tanks. This one is fought with algorithms and atoms, with chips smaller than your fingernail, but powerful enough to decide the fate of nations. Welcome to the US-China Tech War, a battle over artificial intelligence, semiconductor dominance, and the future of the global economy. At the heart of modern life is the semiconductor, a wafer-thin slice of silicon, etched with millions, sometimes billions of microscopic circuits. These are the brains of our devices, the control centers of our cars, the nervous systems of our aircraft. Without them, the modern world stops. And right now, the race to control this technology is the new arms race of the 21st century. To understand the stakes, we need to go back. The story of semiconductors begins in the 1940s and 50s, when the first transistors replaced bulky vacuum tubes, giving birth to the microchip revolution. By the 1980s, chip manufacturing had spread from Silicon Valley to Japan, South Korea, and eventually Taiwan. Over the decades, the chips became smaller, faster, and more powerful, shrinking from micrometers to nanometers. The smaller the chip's components, the faster it runs, and the more energy efficient it becomes. Today, the most advanced chips are so small their features are measured in just 3 nanometers. That's about 25,000 times thinner than a human hair. Producing them requires extreme ultraviolet lithography, a technology so complex that only one company in the world, the Dutch firm ASML, can make the machines that build them. And this is where geopolitics enters the picture. Because the world's largest producer of advanced chips isn't in the US or China, it's in Taiwan. Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, or TSMC, produces over 90% of the most advanced chips on Earth. Its facilities are so critical that US officials have privately referred to them as the Silicon Shield, an asset so valuable it deters potential conflict. But in Beijing's eyes, Taiwan is part of China, and reunification is inevitable. In Washington's eyes, Taiwan is a democratic partner whose independence is non-negotiable. This collision course makes the semiconductor supply chain one of the most dangerous fault lines in global politics. In 2015, China's government unveiled Made in China 2025, an industrial strategy designed to make the country a global leader in high-tech industries, from robotics and aerospace to electric vehicles, and crucially, semiconductors. The plan was ambitious. By 2025, China aimed to produce 70% of its own chips domestically. For decades, China had been the world's factory, assembling gadgets designed elsewhere. Now it wanted to design and build the brains inside them too. In Washington, alarm bells went off. Think tanks like the Center for Strategic and International Studies warned that China's push wasn't just about economics, it was about military power. Advanced chips are essential for everything from missile guidance systems to AI-driven cyber warfare. If China controlled the chip supply chain, it could gain a decisive edge over the United States. Between 2018 and 2020, the Trump administration took action. It imposed sweeping tariffs on Chinese imports, sanctioned tech giants like Huawei and ZTE, and banned American companies from selling them critical components without a license. Huawei, once poised to dominate the global 5G market, suddenly found itself cut off from the most advanced chips it needed to stay competitive. Then came 2022. The Biden administration not only kept these restrictions in place, it expanded them. The CHIPS and Science Act committed $52 billion to rebuild America's semiconductor manufacturing capacity. New megafactories, or fabs, are being built in Arizona by TSMC, in Texas by Samsung, and in Ohio by Intel. These are billion-dollar facilities, each capable of producing millions of chips a week. The goal: ensure the United States can produce the chips it needs without relying on geopolitical rivals. Artificial intelligence has added fuel to this rivalry. Training cutting-edge AI models, like those powering autonomous vehicles or advanced military systems, requires enormous computing power. This power comes from specialized chips, graphics processing units or GPUs, made by companies like Nvidia and AMD. The US government has restricted the export of Nvidia's most advanced AI chips to China, fearing they could be used for military purposes. In response, China is racing to develop homegrown alternatives, investing tens of billions into companies like SMIC, its largest chip maker. The economic stakes are enormous. In the United States, the semiconductor sector supports over 277,000 direct jobs, with average salaries above $100,000. The ripple effect supports over 1.6 million more jobs across the supply chain. In China, the chip industry employs millions, from PhD-level engineers to factory floor workers. Any disruption in the supply chain can send shockwaves through the global economy. Remember the chip shortages of 2021, when car factories shut down and electronics prices soared? That was a preview of what a prolonged tech war could do. National security looms over every decision. Chips power fighter jets, missile guidance systems, spy satellites, and the supercomputers that simulate nuclear tests. U.S. officials fear China could use AI and advanced chips to enhance cyber warfare capabilities or expand its already vast surveillance state. China fears that in the event of a conflict, particularly over Taiwan, the U.S. could choke off its access to chips entirely. This is why both nations are building stockpiles of critical semiconductors, much like oil reserves during the Cold War. The rest of the world is being drawn in. Japan and South Korea, both major players in the chip industry, are balancing their economic ties with China against security alliances with the U.S. The Netherlands, under U.S. pressure, has restricted ASML from selling its most advanced machines to China. Even Europe is launching its own €43 billion European Chips Act to reduce dependence on Asian suppliers. But the tech war isn't just about economics or even national security. It's about who will set the rules of the future. In one scenario, the US and China decouple their tech ecosystems entirely, creating two parallel worlds with different standards, different supply chains, and incompatible systems. In another, the rivalry triggers a burst of innovation, with countries like India, Israel, and even Vietnam stepping in to fill gaps in the market. Or in the worst case, a confrontation over Taiwan disrupts the global supply of advanced chips overnight, plunging the world into a technological recession. And through it all, the pace of innovation marches on. Chips are expected to shrink to 2 nanometers by 2025, unlocking new possibilities for AI, biotechnology, and space exploration. But in the shadow of the US-China tech war, every breakthrough comes with a strategic question. Who controls it, and to what end? The US-China tech war isn't just about gadgets or jobs, it's about who will write the rules for the century ahead. And in this new Cold War, the weapon of choice is measured not in megatons, but in nanometers. This is Global Politics Today, where we break down the battles shaping our world. Stay tuned, because this war is just getting started.